someone saying when they are clearly not a fat person, I feel fat, it would be like me being like, I feel so black in a way. Like, would I ever?
Oh, she didn't just say that. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome and hope you like it here. So the other day when I was dumb scrolling on my bed at 3 a.m. watching Instagram reels, some brain rot Instagram reels and TikToks, I was also watching YouTube because apparently nowadays that's the thing, you need to have two screens at least playing different stuff for some reason. So I was in YouTube and I stumbled upon, or more likely, I saw this thumbnail of a debate, which is skinny women versus plus size women from the bridge. Apparently, it came out. When did it came out? So it came out about like a week ago. And I thought it would be interesting to watch the debate, maybe give my take a little bit on this, just to do something a little bit more, a little bit different in the channel as opposed to just watching people gorge. So I would try to just like watch it and give my opinion about those things. Now, granted, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a, I don't know, like a personal trainer or something, although I did live with a nutritionist for over 20 years. So while technically I'm not authorized to give people like advice on what to eat, I do know certain things that were taught by my mother, which was a nutritionist that I lived with almost all my life. So I'm gonna probably give my take on it. I just watched the first seconds just to see if maybe like it had the vibe for me to react to it. And apparently it looks very interesting. So why don't we watch it together? Let's go.
Today on The Bridge, we're bringing together women with very different relationships to their bodies. Skinny women
I thought she was gonna say different relationships with food, but also true.
and plus size women. They're here to talk openly about confidence, judgment, beauty standards, and the pressures that they face from society. Our goal isn't to decide who has it easier or harder, but to understand the experiences behind each perspective. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Daff. Welcome to The Bridge.
Okay, so I like this one because it's gonna be a little bit more regarding like lifestyle and just experiences. I've seen some of these debates before, and they're more centered around is fat being a choice, yes or no. So I think this one's gonna be slightly different. So I'm excited to see what points they're gonna bring, what they're going to debate. Let's start.
Hey ladies, my name is Jen Garcia and you can follow me at follow.
Sorry, I just thought that anytime anybody like comes on like a debate or is giving like an interview, they they put the name and then the occupation or what they do, and this is just gonna be like Jen skinny. It's like I am a skinny bitch. Not calling her a bitch, of course. It's just like I thought it was funny because usually the occupation of what they do, like musician, actor, is below the name, and now it's just like skinny. I am skinny.
Jen Garcia, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Ashe Simone, ASE. That's how you spell my first name.
Hello, ladies. My name is Amaya Brannigan. It's nice to meet you. Can't wait to engage in conversation.
Hi everyone, my name is Kitty Bay. I make music. I guess if we're talking about our Instagram, my Instagram is the homegirl and then 2 underscores. So
Hi, I'm Haley Herms. Marcy Guevara Preet.
Hi, I'm Kathy Deach.
Hi, I'm Christina Williams, also known as the Curvy Cutie.
Thank you, ladies. Welcome. And the first prompt today is, my body size is a major part of my identity.
Oh, that's a good one. And I feel like the skinny side, unless they do like modeling or something that like they live off of their physique, my thoughts is that the skinny side is gonna say no, unless given what I've mentioned before, and that the fat side is going to be like, yes, it's part of my identity. Now, my thoughts in particular about this is that usually speaking, when you're in a higher weight, you think a lot about your weight. To be honest, like when I was at my skinniest, I rarely thought about my weight because it was not, let's just say, an impediment for doing anything. And granted, I've never been like very, very, very fucking big. My highest weight ever was, I think, 107 kilograms. I'm not sure how much that is in pounds. I'll probably put like a conversion or something in here. And well, yeah, that's a lot of fucking weight, but I'm also quite tall. I'm I think 178 or 5'10". So yes, I was obese. I was class 1 obese, but I've never been like very, very fucking big to a point in which I had to worry about, I don't know, not fitting into like amusement park rides or regular plain seats. But I would think that when you're very, very big, it is part of your identity because let's be real, you're walking around, people are looking at you, and you feel self-conscious. You feel more self-conscious when you're bigger. So sometimes, granted, yes, it's very common right now, every day in the world, to see a lot of fat people out there. But I think that when you're the fat person, like thinking about myself when I was bigger, you do really, really think about that a lot, and it kind of becomes part of your identity. And some people, it's either two ways. You either don't like that, or there's some people who, I don't know if it's a coping mechanism or something, or they think that they cannot actually do something about their body size, but or the other way around, which is turning into fat acceptance and being like, no, yes, I'm super, super happy and super, super healthy being at 300 pounds, being a 5'5" woman. So yes, I would think that I'm going to assume, I might be wrong, I'm going to assume that the bigger side is probably going to say more yes, and the skinnier side, like I mentioned, unless they're like in a modeling industry or something that requires them to be very, very fit or very, very skinny, are going to say no. But let's see if my predictions are correct.
Okay, anyone can share.
I feel like when I think about myself as a person, I don't think about my size, but I think how much other people think about it and discuss it affects me. So
that is actually true. That is actually true. When you are fat, you probably think that a lot of people hyperfixate on that, when the truth is, and I know this because I've been fat, and I have people in my life that have been fat or that are fat. And to be honest, when I think of them, I don't think about them like, oh, my fat friend, or I don't think about their weight at all. It's not like, for me, it's unless they bring it up, or unless it's something relevant regarding to the weight part of it comes in, I don't think about them that way. Like the majority of people don't really fucking care unless you bring it up, unless you're being like fat acceptancy, in which you're like, oh yes, healthy at all sizes and whatever. But the vast majority of people don't give a shit, to be honest, and are more preoccupied or concerned with their own issues or their own lives to think about other people's body sizes. And that's the truth. But being in that fat body, you really, really think that a lot of people, like the people watching you, are really, really just thinking about it. When the reality is like the majority of people don't care. Unless you're very fucking big, like, I don't know, 400, 350 plus pounds. Like the majority of people won't care that much unless you're like an outlier, like very, very fucking big.
I wouldn't say I personally agree, but when I think about how I go about in the world, then I definitely agree that it becomes a big part of my identity.
Are these people that are strangers or people who know you personally?
Everyone. I've had people, random people I don't know, come up to me in like CVS. Mostly growing up, it was my own family. But as I got older, it definitely wandered in just publicly, even not on the internet. On the internet, I kind of expect it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's actually true. Like on the internet, people like you gotta understand that on the internet, people feel like they're shielded because they can protect their identities. And yes, I know that I'm saying that with a fucking Barbie doll as a profile picture. I'll probably add one of my actual fucking face later on. But yes, people like get a lot of courage online and say stuff that you wouldn't say face to face, honestly speaking. So when people think that the outside world is managed exactly as the online world, they're wrong, because honestly, the majority of people that are saying nasty shit to everyone would be fucking terrified to say them on their faces. That's the actual truth. So when you upload a picture and a lot of people are calling you fat, ugly, whatever, trust me that it's just because they feel like they're shielded from consequences, and that's the truth, to be honest. And yes, I get that. Like growing up and being a fat girl, I did have a lot of, especially since my mother, like I mentioned, my mother was a nutritionist, which you might think, why the fuck were you fat in the first place? That's a big ass fucking story that I can probably cover if anyone is interested in another video. But it's a topic that comes up a lot. It comes up a lot. Usually depends on your kind of family. I grew up in a Latina family, and you know, Latino families are brutal. Are fucking brutal. Like they will not see you for 2 months, and the first thing that they tell you when they see you is that you're getting fucking fatter. So I don't know if that's why I'm like very unsensitized to like whatever fucking people think of me or say about me. But usually in families it's more discussed because they're worried about you. I know that my parents, they were never like my parents, my actual parents were never assholes to me about it. They were just like, you need to take care of your health, you need to lose weight because you need to be healthy. They were never like, oh, you're fucking disgusting or something like that. But I know that it happens. It happens. Like so far I do agree with this girl, but I do agree that it's more with the people like are closer to you. Like the majority of the people on the street don't give a shit, and that's the truth.
I've had random people approach me and members of my family.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. My body type is a big part of my identity. I always get comments on my abs or my physique, or whether it's family, friends, or on social media, and people remember me for it. Like I've worked with people and I, show up again and they're like, oh, you're the girl with the abs, or, so it is a big part of.
What a fucking flex. I would love to be known as the girl with the abs, but I still need to drop my body fat percentage. Oh, I mean, of course not. I would not like to only be known as the girl with the abs, but that's such a fucking flex there.
My identity, and it has a lot to do with the work I do too. If I didn't look like this, I don't think I would get hired as much.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I said I don't feel like it is, even though people do comment on my figure a lot and say that I'm like extremely skinny. And to me, I don't really want to be. I would like to gain some weight, so I don't want to like say that's me, because hopefully I am gaining some weight, actually.
And that's also truth. Like you cannot like create all of your identity based on your body size, regarding specifically talking about body fat and weight, because you can change that. Like I mentioned this before in other videos, it's very stupid to tie your identity to something that can change. I know that losing weight is not easy. Like I mentioned, it's simple in a sense that it can only be achieved via calorie deficit, energy balance, whatever. It is not easy in the practice because, hunger hormones, psychology, there's a whole fucking aspect of psychological impact of losing weight. I get that, but it can be done. It can be done. Even if you have like a lot of, what's it called? Like illnesses, like thyroid. If you suffer from thyroid, yes, it's definitely harder, but it can be done. And there's a lot of people, real people out there who have suffered from illnesses that have been able to lose a fucking ton of weight. So it can be possible. So to me, I don't know. To me personally, tying your identity to something that can change on you I don't get it that much. Me personally.
Yeah, but yeah, so I don't really generally try to identify with my physical body because I really see myself as a spirit in a flesh. Yeah, so
I think I agree. Oops, sorry. I think I agree with pretty much everyone. There's it's like a gray area where I don't function under like, oh, this is my size per se, but I have been put in rooms and I've gotten jobs based off of how I look. And it became part of my identity. But when people see me, I wouldn't say like that is like the main descriptor because there's just so much more that I generally bring.
Yeah, that's actually true. Like, and also one thing that I don't agree on, like body size being a major part of your identity, is the fact that there's so many things about a human being, there's so much like personality stuff. There's so much in a human being more than their body size. Although I would say that body size, maybe it's not body size per se, is not a major part of your identity. But now that I think about it, your body size reflects something to others regarding yourself. For example, someone who is very muscular, who is very fit, can convey to the world that they're a disciplined person. And that's a cool trait to associate with your identity. So I'm a little bit like on the fence on this one. I'm not sure if I completely agree or disagree because hearing these points really makes me consider other aspects. But so far, like, it's going well.
Into a room, so it's like I don't know if I agree or disagree, but it's I disagree only because it's not the first thought that comes to my mind, but I also can't speak for other people because we are pretty much, like she said, we're just spirits, we're just here for real.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would love for it not to have to be my identity, but being told you were fat since you were born and having memories as a 5-year-old, like taking a picture hiding behind flowers for my dance concert because I thought I was fat. P.S. I wasn't. I mean, that's also like a whole thing too. So much of my identity was how I was trying not to be fat. And then when I finally woke up and was like, wait a minute, it doesn't matter. Now I'm a fat activist and it absolutely is part of my identity, but it is in like a whole other way. It's not like me trying to hide who I am. It's actually like celebrating who I am.
Yes, like I mentioned, so she's a fat activist, so naturally her identity or a lot of what she does revolves around being big. So far, like, yes, it's going how I expected.
So
Thank you for sharing that. Speaking of that word, fat, how does that term affect you? Does it offend any of you ladies?
I'm going to say my opinion first and then let these ladies speak. I don't think fat should be like a bad word because it's a descriptor word. It's like saying someone is fucking tall or fucking short. It's just a descriptor. Now, granted that fat, depending on who's saying it, can be subjective because someone might look at someone who's probably on a healthy weight and they can call them fat. Yes, I get it, but there's actual measurements on how you can determine if you're actually fat. I don't subscribe 100% to the BMI. You should use the BMI as don't get me wrong, you should use it as a base because yes, there are some outliers, and some people might have a little bit more muscle on them, where their weight might reflect that they're overweight and they're in a healthy weight. But you should use that as a base, take it with a grain of salt, and use other like measurements on the side. So there's other ways that you can assess your health and if you're actually fat, besides from BMI. But let's be fucking for real. If you are if you're basing yourself on the BMI and you're class 1 obese, class 2 obese, and you're starting to cope being like, oh no, but I'm a muscular mommy, you're most unlikely you're not.
No.
I think the context, like, it's all how it's used. Like, yeah, I can say it, call myself fat, but like, one of the skinny ladies were to say it, I don't quite know. It's, to me, it's a kitchen table word. Like, it's okay amongst us, but oh, that fat girl over there, no. I think there's a
I get it. Let's be real. Yes, it depends on the context, but I thought she was gonna say like depends how the person is saying it. It's very difficult. It's very different for someone to just be saying like, "Oh, you're fat," right? Speaking about it and saying it in a way to kind of like be rude, like, "Oh, you fucking fat bitch," or something like that. But I don't agree that just because you're skinny, you cannot call somebody else fat. Like it all depends on the context. If you're just speaking about your bodies and you're having like an actual conversation, there's no issue calling someone fat or skinny or muscular. It's just a descriptor. If they're doing it to be like fucking assholes, then yes, I would get why you would be upset. But if someone is just talking about their bodies and is like, okay, well, yes, I'm fat, I personally don't think that's bad. It's a descriptor. It's a fucking descriptor. Because if we start thinking like this lady, then me, a tall person, I can never under any circumstances call someone else short, because apparently I don't know what it means to be short, so I cannot visibly observe that someone is short and call them short, right? That's dumb as hell.
other creative ways to use it. It doesn't really bother me, but it's just like, come on, let's use better adjectives.
Right.
And what do you propose? Like, fat honestly is not that bad. Like there are worse words to call someone fat. Fat is just a descriptor. Like for example, if someone calls you disgusting, or if someone calls you, I don't know, big back whale, something like that. Not calling this girls any like of that, but it's usually the type of words that people would use instead of fat. Like fat is better, to be honest. Like fatter, like I mentioned, fat is a descriptor, and it's not wrong to call anyone fat, depending on the context, of course. But I don't get this logic.
I would agree. I think it's just context for me. And I don't really mind if someone calls me fat. It's just the context. I think it's just an adjective. When I used to nanny kids, one of the girls was chubby and would get bullied a lot, and I would just tell her like fat's just an adjective. But I can see when non-fat people see me use the word fat, they're like, but you're beautiful, and I'm like, no one said I was ugly.
Yeah, that's also something like we associate being fat with being ugly, and let's separate some things, right? Yes, I do agree that being fat, being overweight, and being obese is not healthy in the majority of cases. Yes, you can get away with being a little bit overweight, and you can get away maybe perhaps being a class 1 obese at most and still being relatively healthy. But being like class 2 morbidly obese and calling yourself healthy is like moronic, to be honest. I forgot the point that I was making. Fucking ADHD, man. Let me just like rewind a little bit.
I'm just fat.
Oh yes, I remember now what I was saying. But I don't think that maybe it's a controversial take, but I don't think that all fat people are ugly. In fact, there's a lot of overweight women who have like objectively very, very nice looking faces. And let's be for real, let's not kid ourselves. Depending on your fat distribution, you might still be considered like conventionally attractive depending on where you live. I know for a fact that having lived in Latin America, being as long as you're curvy, it doesn't matter if you're like fucking class 1 obese. As long as your waist is relatively smaller to your butt and your hips, you would be considered a traditionally beautiful woman, right? So ugly and fat are not like, it's not like everyone that's fat is ugly. So I get the point that she's making. But generally speaking, people are very afraid to call other people fat because, yes, it has negative connotations. It's someone who probably does not take very good care of their health. But in itself, I don't get why people get so like upset for calling someone fat. Like, again, like I mentioned, depending on the context, I can get it. But if we're just like having a mature conversations, which I suppose that all of the people here are adults and understand context, if you call someone fat respectfully or like, without any intention, it's no different than calling someone short, tall, whatever. It's just a descriptor.
That's the adjective.
Yeah.
I have really appreciated seeing thin friends learn words like bigger bodied and plus size and curvy and feel comfortable saying that or feel comfortable acknowledging that I live in a bigger body.
I do, though, have a little bit of a problem with the word curvy because I feel it's very misused. Traditionally speaking, curvy women would be considered someone who has who has a certain waist to hip ratio. And I feel I've seen a lot of posts where women are like, oh, I'm a curvy woman, and they are not curvy. Yes, they might have curves, but like outward curves, not inward curves, if you know what I mean. So I do have a problem with that. I mean, like, it's not a big of a deal if someone wants to call themselves curvy, but to me, it's like, it's cope, to be honest. Yes, you can be a little bit bigger and still be curvy. Again, it all depends on your let's say fat distribution, which you have no control over it. But also like trying to cope by being, no, I'm such a curvy woman, when you don't have like the requirement waist to hip ratio of that to me is a little bit like, it's delusional. That's the word.
But fat is just a word, it's just a descriptor, and it is what people would describe us, whether it's negative or positive. So for me, it's kind of like the word bitch. It's like we reclaimed that in 1997. So let's reclaim.
But bitch is not a descriptor. Bitch, it's an insult on itself. How it's typically used, it's an insult. And fat, it's a descriptor. That's the difference. I don't think that both compare.
Claim the word fat. If I want to call myself a fat person, which I am one, it sort of starts to take, I think, the stigma and those hurt feelings away and just normalizes it. And I love making people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, uncomfortable?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Why not?
I thought you said comfortable. Okay.
I mean, that too, in the certain context.
I see what you mean. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Does anyone here have anything to add to that in terms of the word?
I wanted to ask the young lady in the blue, how would it not be taken out of context, or how could a skinny person, because you mentioned the skinny girls, how could we use it and you not be offended? Is there ever a time we can say you're fat and you won't be offended?
Like when I mean, like, if you're using it mean-spirited, like, will I be deeply offended? No, but it's just like, okay, this is where we're going. So then, of course, I'm quick-witted. I'm going to have to say something rude, too. But but overall, like, if we're homegirls, you're like, okay, come on, okay, you're a little fat. Okay. So it's really in the context of the word.
So it's more like rude. It feels rude.
Yeah.
I think most of the time people use it in a rude way, but like, for example, like if I'm in a
Yeah, that's like, summarizing all of this is because the majority of people usually use it to kind of insult. But if you really, really think about it, It's like calling someone blunt. Like, why would you get upset if someone calls you blunt if you're blunt? They're just saying that you're fucking blunt. Now, if someone were to call you, for example, I'm a ginger, for example, if you're a ginger and someone will call you, I don't know, fucking Darla from Nemo, then it would be like, oh well, fuck you, right? But if they're calling you a ginger, or if you're calling you like a redhead, yeah, well, yeah, what do you want me to do? That's it. So I get why it might be considered offensive, because it's used in a derogative way. But if we really come to think about it objectively, it's a description. It's like trying to offend someone and being like, "Oh, you're so fucking tall. What do you want me to do about it, bitch?" And that's the thing. Like, being fat can be easily changed. Being fucking short, or being, I don't know, like your skin color or something. And so it cannot be changed in effect. So
Room, like me and my best friend's polar opposite. I'm white and fat. She's super thin and Asian. So I'll be like, oh, you see that really tiny thin girl over that thin Asian girl? That's her. And she might be like, oh, you see like the fat white girl? That's like my best friend. So that'd be a time where I'd be like, yeah, I am the fat white girl. Like, you know what I mean? But definitely most of the time in most contexts, people are not saying it for adjective purposes.
And I agree with that. I wasn't trying to be intellectually dishonest. I agree with that. I've only used it negatively.
That's what I was thinking. I think for you, after the holidays, are you going to be on January 1st? Oh, I got a little fat. My abs are under some cookies. That's when it's like, you are never going to be fat, right?
I probably would say that because I know I could get my abs back quick.
But you're not fat. You have gained weight, or your body has changed, but you're not fat.
Or I hate being at a table and they're like, oh, I'm gonna be like such a fat ass right now because big bat, like more like than when they're eating. I'm like, okay, then what am I? Like,
maybe we should try to understand that when people talk about themselves that way, they're referring to themselves, and let's try to not be offended at things that are not directed to us. Challenge 2025. I don't get why people, like, that's the thing with fat positivity and fat acceptance. Like, you cannot comment anything, not even to yourself. Like, I don't, like, maybe you're not fat. Like, say, for example, you're a person that are not fat, but you have gained some weight. And you might be thinking, oh, I'm getting a little bit fat. And you say it as a joke, or maybe you are getting a little bit fat. And you say it in front of them, and they take it as an insult, as if you would have called them the worst fucking insult to their faces when you were referring to yourself. That's the part that I don't get. Like, when someone is referring to themselves as that they gain a little bit of weight, or that they're eating way too much, why does it have to be about you?
if you're fat, then like, damn, I'm the Titanic. Like, I don't know what to say.
What we know is it's not a feeling.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people use the word fat as. It's like, I feel fat today. Yes. It's like, you've never been fat one day in your life. So I think that's where like the activism for us comes in, and the allyship with thin women around us is like, as soon as you stop using it as a feeling, it helps us. And also for me, like, I'm not a mom on purpose because I don't want to like pass on this like body image sort of negativity to the next generation. But those of us that aren't as aware of it, it's really easy to just look in the mirror and be like, oh my gosh, whatever about your body. And then you don't know what child, or, you know, if you have a child, I suppose, is looking at you and taking that in. And then they're going to school being like, you're fat, to someone else. So it's just like this chain reaction.
I will say, when you take out the sting of what it is, once I changed my mind about fatness and that it's okay to be fat, and this,
I don't think it's very okay to be fat. Like, just saying that out there. Like, the thing that I applaud to these girls is that at least they're aware that they're fat. There's so much scope out there of people being like, oh, I'm not fat, I'm just a little bit chunky, or I'm not fat, I'm curvy, or something like that. So and that also annoys me. Like, just accept, if you know that you're objectively fat, like, you know that you have gained a lot of weight, you weigh a lot on respect to your height, and you're fat, accept it and take action. Why being all copy like, oh no, you're not even fat or something like that. But the part that I don't agree is being like, oh, being super fat is okay because you, like, at the end of the day, accepting yourself being fat, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like, nobody else gives a fuck unless you have like children or pets or dependents on you. The only person that's getting like the, let's say, the bad end of the stick is yourself. So why wouldn't you want to give yourself the best life possible and live live as healthy as possible? Like I mention all the time, you don't have to be 15% body fat, or I don't know whatever the fuck. You don't need to have abs. You just need to be in a healthy weight. Even if you want to be a little bit chunky, a little bit overweight, you can still probably be relatively healthy. But being like this big, like this woman, I don't know how much they weigh, but they do look considerably big. I don't think it's healthy, to be honest.
Is how every generation, probably if you go 20 back, of my Irish Catholic family looks. We're big bone girls, and it
that's also something that I don't agree with. Like, someone being fat in the imperial, like, oh, I'm big boned, bitch. Sorry, but I'm looking at you, and those do not look like bones. Those look like a little bit of fat, I, for example, I understand being like broader boned, but you can still lose weight and you can still look smaller by losing weight. Yes, you're gonna look, for example, I have fucking big ass shoulders. I know it because I've been lean and I still have big shoulders, but they didn't look like fat shoulders. I just looked like fucking Slender Man at some point. I had, like, your bone constitution, you cannot change it, but using that as a cope of being fat, like being big boned, that's not logical at all. That's not logical at all. You can be big boned and still be lean or a healthy weight.
When I realized it's not a morality, like, indicator, right? It's just when I took the stigma of being fat out of what I thought about it, you could call me fat all you want, and it doesn't even bother me because it's true, and it doesn't make me a bad person
or less of a person.
Yeah,
I
or
do
less of a
want to.
person.
I'm sorry.
I do agree that being fat does not make you less of a person or makes you morally wrong or morally, or is it morally bad? No. I know that a lot of people think of these reaction channels in which we do not agree with fat acceptance, that we demonize fat people, and the truth is no, we just don't agree that it's healthy. That's it. But I do agree that if you're a fat person, you're not morally wrong or you're not inferior or something. But don't come at me and say that you're healthy, because clearly you're not. That's the difference.
I do want to like chime in and say that like just how you guys can be selective about how you want to be addressed when you are addressing someone who doesn't share the same body type. Like I think two of you guys like referenced like the skinny girls. Like it feels like there's a sense of divide, and there's also like an inner meaning of what you choose fat to mean. When fat isn't necessarily a negative thing, because in some cultures it's like a sign of wealth.
Yeah.
But also like I don't know. I don't think there should be like don't call me.
Let's call it what it is. There shouldn't be a double standard. I know where this girl is going, and I love her for it, because it's very true. In the fat acceptance community, yes, fat is okay and fat is not a bad word, but they usually, I've seen like a lot of videos in where they try to demonize girls by calling them skinny bitches or skinny hoes or something like that. And it's like, oh, so it's okay, like fat is not a bad word, or it can only be used it cannot be used by skinny people. Yeah, skinny people cannot call someone else fat, but you can call someone else a skinny bitch. That's a little bit hypocritical, don't you think?
Fat when you claim it in a way, and if it's like in a negative way, then that's when you deserve like clap back. like say something about it, because if somebody is throwing bad energy towards you, of course you're supposed to defend yourself. But I do also think like on both sides of things, when we're using language, intentions is most important more than the word. And saying, oh, I don't like when people say this and that and the third, it's just like, well, what do y'all call us? You gonna call us skinny? And then in my history, like growing up, skinny wasn't necessarily great. Like I got made fun of for my size.
I 100% agree with this girl. And she's just pointing out the whole double standard with the fat acceptance, in which you have to be very fucking careful of if you call them fat or not, because if you're skinny, you apparently cannot say that, but they can say it back to you. So I love her for it.
And I feel like it could hold weight and power over you based off of a word, or it could just be more of a sense of reference. Yeah, it's just like I feel like there's experiences on both sides of the spectrum. So just being so bold to like call one side thing and then be like gatekeep a word on the other end, it's like maybe consider a little bit more on like how other people might take like their sides, because there's struggles on both sides. It's just one side is more upfront and the other side is more like very niche, I guess you would say.
I think one side is more socially acceptable.
Yeah.
In a sense. But I did see you tearing up on this side.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I did get emotional when you were talking about being a little girl hiding, your body and stuff. But then also, if I'm being real with you, I also just started tearing up because my makeup. But that I really did feel verklempt.
Has happened to me. Like one time I was like leading a meeting or something like that, and I got a fucking eyelash on me somehow, and I started fucking tearing up, and everyone was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I promise I'm okay. Like, yes, I was I was giving like very stressful meeting, but and I was like, yes, like this is important, but I'm not crying about it. I have a fucking eyelash in my eye. I cannot take it out. Has happened to me before.
It was a real emotion, but it got a lot worse. And then I was just like, oh God, I can't even hide this. And so that's why I was closing my eyes. But it was like that moment hurt me to hear you say that, because I don't think any little girl should feel like that. And it is a shame just that girls in general have a lot of pressure put on them about their looks, body-wise, face-wise. And I dealt with my own things like that growing up, but I'm not to compare it to you. It was more so my face and stuff. I had like weird things.
Honestly, like she's saying stuff about her face, but I genuinely believe that she's very fucking beautiful, like objectively beautiful, in my opinion. And yes, I get she has a point. Like a lot of girls growing up, we had a lot of image issues, especially like me growing up. I grew up during the 2000s era, sorry. And in that time it was like the heroin chick kind of skinny coming on. And I know that it's something that is definitely going to affect your own body image, comparing yourself and seeing that you look nothing like the standard. But I do believe that as parents, it's our responsibility to really try to protect our kids as much as possible for this. Really let them know that beauty standards are almost changing. Like, yes, in the 2000s, the super, super, super skinny chick was in. Then in the 2010s, it was the slim thick look, like, like very fucking slim waist with like balloons as a fucking ass. And now I think that the beauty standard is starting to swing back again to being a little bit more lean. There's a lot of people who theorize that the skinny chick is going to come back. I don't think so. I think we're going to shift more into a leaner look, because I personally think that in the 2020, specifically in the pandemic era, this is just a hypothesis that I have. It's not official. It's not backed up by anything. It's something that I think. If you disagree, or if you have also noticed this, let me know in the comments. But I've noticed that since 2020 and the pandemic, a lot of people have gotten more into the gym, into being more muscular. And I think that's what's going to be trending in the next years for both men and women. But it's going to be more like a lean, but a little bit of more muscled physique. But I don't know. I might be wrong. We'll see in a fucking 5 years if I'm right or wrong. So I would Of course, I'm not a parent, so it's a subject that's very complicated for me, and I might be wrong. But I think that we really, for future generations, we need to be very responsible on body, like beauty standards tied to body acceptance and whatnot. But we do need to emphasize health since children, because let's be real, if you grew up eating like shit as a kid, you are it's going to be very hard for you even as an adult to unlearn all those years of eating crappy food, lots of sugar, and lots of processed shit. So I do agree that we should opt more for a health focused approach to children, instead of like, oh, you're fat, you're ugly, you're fat, you're ugly, you're skinny. It's more like, let's do some sports because you need to be healthy. Let's eat a balanced meal because you need to be healthy. I think that is a more like healthy way to approach kids. But like I mentioned, I don't have kids. Maybe I will have on my own in a couple of years, but I don't have a lot of experience with it. Those are just my thoughts.
What was wrong with my face, my forehead too big, da da da. You know, so I got teary about that.
Yeah, but it all matters.
Yeah.
That matters.
Yeah, it's all
that,
valid.
You know, and I think that that's correct. I think as a gender, it is so out of whack, and diet culture has us by the throat in a way that makes us opposing when we are not. We are all in the same boat when it comes to, like, women constantly have to think about their bodies all the time. It occupies so much space in our heads what our bodies look like. And that is something that fat liberation has given me. I have space in my head. So
I agree. I agreed with her on the first part until she mentioned that that's what fat acceptance has given her. Yes, I do. Like, don't get me wrong, I agree 100% with body diversity, but not in the sense that fat positivity, and also the other side, like, just taking for context, everything that is said for very, very big people, I also apply it for very, very skinny people. I do agree that there should be a lot of body diversity. There shouldn't be just one way of being beautiful, but I do agree that we should try to focus on being healthy. And usually being healthy is considered a little bit more attractive, usually speaking, evolutionarily speaking. So I don't agree with the fat acceptance being like, oh, okay, well, so body diversity, so I need to just accept that I'm 400 pounds. No, body diversity for me is being like, okay, so I don't have to be a size 0, but I can be a healthy body size percentage. I can be athletic. I can have goals in the gym on lift more weight, being strong, feeling strong as a woman. Like, for me, that's something that's very, very important. It's not mentioned a lot in here, but feeling strong as a woman is something that's very empowering. More like being super skinny or like super fat. It's more like being strong, being healthy, being capable, not feeling like you can pull your weight in is very, very powerful, and it's a feeling that I wish a lot of women felt.
I also want to, if I may, just address the whole like talking about a word thing. You know, I think Marcy's point is that fat is a descriptor. It is a physical describer. It isn't the feeling of it. So when she's trying to gatekeep it, she's actually just asking it to be used as what it is. Like, fat is not a feeling. We don't feel fat. You can feel bloated. You can feel like you're slowed down. But again, these are all things that we associate with fatness, right? Like, the word fat has so many other things attached to it. It has being slovenly, being dirty, being poor, being like, all these things are attached to fatness. And
I personally think that fat can be a feeling. Yes, not like a textbook dictionary feeling like sad, anger, like being sad, being angry, being happy, but you can feel fat. And tell me, you like, honestly, if you say that feeling fat is not a feeling, have you ever gone to like shopping for clothes or something and nothing fits and you feel like you look horrible with everything that you wear, that's where you feel fat. That's where you're like, oh no, I feel fat. And I know that everyone that has gotten to, who has had troubles with their weight or has struggled with their weight has felt that before.
We can't act like that's not happening, right? Like that is like all of us would get paid less than you at a job, like statistically. That's true.
Statistically, we get paid 3 years less of an income.
Yeah. I mean, these are like real.
Is that true? I don't think that is true. I have to look it up because I cannot assure that that's not happened. What I've heard is that usually speaking, very, very big people are not as hired as, let's say, healthier weight individuals. Because think about it from an employer's perspective. When you see someone who is very, very fucking fat, and again, I have to emphasize, not someone who is overweight, who is a little bit obese. I'm talking about very, very big people. Think about it as from an employer's perspective. When you see someone who is very, very big, you think, oh, that person is going to get sick all the time. They're going to have to take leaves all the time. And they're going to skip the job all the time. So to you, that's a person who's not going to be very suitable for the job because they're not going to have the energy and they're going to get sick all the time. And what does that cause? It causes a person who is fickle at the job site. So that's how we have to think about it.
Things in the world that fatness has in its detriment. So someone saying when they are clearly not a fat person, I feel fat, it would be like me being like, I feel so black in a way. Like,
oh, she didn't just say that. Girl, and like the girls in here are black. No. What is it with body positivity and people wanting to be oppressed so hard and comparing themselves with minorities, like comparing with someone who has a different skin color? No, she didn't just say that. I'd be pissed if I were there.
Say that, like,
yeah, they do.
And that's crazy, right? And that's like
it's insane.
Yeah.
The next prompt is,
okay, guys, I think I've been here for a while. I know that I ramble a lot. So I think what I will do is I probably will divide it by parts and just do like one prompt and comment on it. And if you like this video, if you want to see the continuation, I can do the second prompt in another video. But leave me in the comments if you say like, oh, I want to watch, like the rest of the prompts in the next video. I can do that also as well. I just think that it will be a little bit more digestible for YouTube and for yourselves to not bore you guys to death. But anyways, thank you all for watching and hope you're having a great day. I probably won't upload until after Christmas because I'm going to visit my parents of my hometown. So I'm not going to take my computer and I'm going to be like recording or anything. But if you're watching this before Christmas, I hope you have a Merry Christmas, that you're surrounded by your family and your loved ones, and I hope that all your wishes come true. And if you like this video, please subscribe, comment, like, share, whatever you want to do, and see you on the next one. Goodbye.